and welcome to the NDB approach lesson. For this lesson we're going to use a generic model. There's so many different ways you can make an NDB approach that it's going to be hard to show them all in just one lesson, so I'm going to make up a generic NDB approach for you that can be applied to all the regular published NDB approaches. Now we're at Sanderson, runway 5 for takeoff in the Beechjet, and the Sanderson NDB is located just a couple miles northeast of the field. The frequency of that is 348, and most approaches are such that you make descents to the minimum descent altitude at which time you pass the NDB. If you don't see the airport, you do a go around missed approach. If you do see the airport, you continue to make your landing. Again, you have to be out of the clouds at your minimum descent altitude, whatever that is published. It's usually between 400 and 800 feet above ground level for NDB approaches. In this case, we're going to take off and proceed to the east and circle back around, heading towards the NDB, descending to a makeshift minimum descent altitude before hitting the NDB. So we'll go ahead and try that. The weather is light rain ahead. I'm not sure if we're going to have actual IFR or not, but we'll show you what happens anyway. There's an outside view. We're in the jet now, once again lined up on runway 5 and ready for takeoff here at Sanderson Airport. I'll turn on my landing lights for collision avoidance, and we're ready to go. Slowly adding full power, and release the parking brake, and we're off. Knots, 100 knots, rotate. Bit of a wind out there again. We're up, and gear coming up. A pretty good crosswind apparently, so. Wind off my right side, pushed me down just a bit. Okay, we're proceeding direct to the 368 NDB, as you can see ahead on the ADF1 selector, and we're just passing the NDB right now. That's pretty much just a mile or so off the end of the runway. So with that in mind, we're going to be making an approach on the opposite of this, with an inbound heading of about 245 degrees. Murky, fairly low haze and visibility conditions. I'm speeding up to 240 knots here. I'm going to put on the autopilot to maintain 1,300 feet. And for an NDB approach or any normal approach, you would definitely be going out a little farther than that or being affected by a traffic control. So we're going to try and bring my altitude up to 2,500 feet. Use an outside view once again. And as we go up, the visibility is dropping. We're at 7 miles from Sanderson at this time. Now if you look at the opposite end of the arrow of the NDB, we're about 060 degrees from the station. That's exactly the exact heading we want to be opposite inbound. We want to be 240. So I'm going to make a teardrop approach. Teardrop procedure basically is to course reversal, make a right 45 degree bank turn now. And that would be to a heading of about 120. So I'm going to go to about 120 degrees. It looks like we're just skimming under some clouds this time. At 120 degrees, I'll be holding this heading right now and coming back around after about 1 minute outbound here. 180 back, now more or less to heading of 300 degrees or so. I want to intercept the 240 inbound to the airport. We've gone in cloud now at 2,500 feet. Get a little chop and a little turbulence as well. We're maintaining 220 on the speed. Checking the NDB indicator, we're about 250 degrees. I don't have to go much farther. We'll be inbound on the 240 degree radial roughly. Again, this may not be the published approach. I just want to show you a generic approach in mind. This is how NDB approaches work. A lot of them are different. But in a typical one, they'll head directly at the beacon inbound. Right now I am correctly inbound at 240, so I'm going to keep turning the plane to exactly 240 degrees using your RMI off the left side. I'm established inbound now, 180 knots. My landing lights are on for landing, as you can see from the outside here. I'll put them in the pulse mode. And now that we're inbound and our lights are on for collision avoidance, 240 degrees, 11 miles, we're going to start a descent. Sometimes it's a step down, so let's pretend it is. We'll go to about 1,500 feet. Using autopilot to help here, 1,500 feet. I'll be stepping myself down. Once I reach 1,500, I'll level off until the next point, which could be an intersection or distance or what have you. Basically, this type of approach, since the NDB is so close to the airport, it's going to be an entry straight ahead, an immediate descent to the minimum descent altitude. So I'm going to go to 1,500 feet right now because I'm 9 miles out. Normally you don't descend until you're closer in, under 10 miles. Okay, now we're at, still headed inbound pretty good, 240 degree radial. And it should slip a little bit left of 240. You're going to continue off to the left side, further left of the NDB indicator, to bring it back to the right. You want the head of the needle back to the right, more or less on 240, so I'm taking a slight left cut to about 225. Once the needle swings back to 240, you want to bracket yourself back to the right. On 240. Now we're 7 miles out. I put down my landing gear and my first notch of flaps. And once I've done this, I am ready for landing. Flaps to 20 degrees. Bring my altitude down to the minimum descent altitude, which I'll make it at 700, which is typical of an NDB style approach. And this descent to minimum descent altitude should be done as rapidly as possible because you only get one chance to see the airport, and you can often be approaching fairly quickly, especially in the jet aircraft you would be, so you're going to definitely be descending at least 1,000 feet a minute if you can. I'm about 5 miles from the airport at this time. If you did not have a GPS or other instrument to tell you your exact distance, you'll just have to hold yourself in the blind, headed right towards the NDB station. Remember, the NDB station is where you should have exact contact with the runway. If you don't, you do missed approach and go around. The actual heading that looks better for Sanderson is about 250 degrees off the NDB, so I'm going to keep holding this heading, turning just slightly left a bit. picking up a little bit of rain on the windshield right now. 142 knots, roughly our speed. Ground speed showing 131. The NDB still off to my right side. I do have runway contact. I don't even have to continue flying on instruments at this time. I'm out of the clouds, so whatever may reduce the visibility. But we'll pretend that we are completely in the blind still. And if we suddenly should see the airport now, we've made it. But once the NDB flips, and you don't have the runway in sight, you would have to do a missed approach. We're just about on top of the NDB now. Watch the NDB needle. It's going to spin to the rear of the aircraft. With the runway in sight, however, we're going to continue this. I'll disconnect autopilot and go for a visual landing. There goes the spin of the NDB needle indicating station passage. Now I'll jump to my F2 view and make a nice landing.